My name is Emily Carter, and I was 16 when everything changed. I thought I was invincible. I thought vaping was harmless.
Just a trend. Something everyone at school was doing. I never imagined it could affect me the way it did. One evening, alone in my bedroom, scrolling on my phone while notifications kept buzzing, I started to feel strange. My chest felt tight. My breathing became shallow, and the room around me seemed distant, like it was slowly drifting away. One moment I was watching short videos and laughing, and the next, my vision faded. I felt light, as if I wasn't fully connected to my body anymore. There was no fear at first, only a deep, unfamiliar calm, like time itself had stopped. Then I sensed a gentle pull, guiding me forward through a soft, glowing space filled with warm colors that moved like flowing light. It felt peaceful, not dark or threatening. I became aware of a presence, not a voice in the usual sense, but a clear understanding that filled my thoughts. I knew it was Jesus, not because he said it directly, but because of the overwhelming sense of love, clarity, and truth. I was shown moments from my life, laid out clearly before me. Endless hours spent scrolling, comparing myself to people online, chasing approval through likes and comments. I saw how pressure, insecurity, and constant distraction shaped my thoughts without me even noticing. I was shown how social media isn't just entertainment, but something that can quietly influence emotions, self-worth, and focus. Not through fear, but through subtle control, through attention being pulled away, little by little. Then I saw the people around me, friends, classmates, teenagers, everywhere, all absorbed in glowing screens, disconnected from themselves and from each other. Some looked happy, others empty, many exhausted. I understood how easily young minds can be overwhelmed without realizing it. I became aware of my physical body again, lying still in my room, my phone nearby. My parents' voices felt distant, full of fear and confusion. In that moment, I understood how deeply my actions affected the people who loved me. The presence grew closer, and I felt a clear message, gentle but firm. I had been given a chance to return, a chance to share what I had seen and felt, a chance to warn others before they reached the same point. I didn't want to leave that calm, that warmth, but I understood why I had to go back. Suddenly, the light faded. I felt weight again, cold air in my lungs, pain in my chest. My eyes opened, and the familiar sounds of my room returned: the hum of the air conditioner, the vibration of my phone, my heartbeat pounding. I was alive, but changed. When my parents rushed in, their faces filled with panic and relief, I tried to speak, my voice weak and strained. And as I looked at them, I realized that what I experienced wasn't something I could ignore or keep to myself. It wasn't just a dream. It was a warning. I had glimpsed the other side. I had felt the light, and I had seen the shadows feeding on my generation. And Jesus' words rang in my mind, clear and unyielding: go back, save them while you can. After that night, everything changed. I couldn't go back to scrolling mindlessly, to posting selfies just for likes, or laughing at memes without thinking. Every time I picked up my phone, I felt a pull, a tug of shadow at the edges of my mind, whispering doubts, insecurities, envy. I remembered Jesus' words: the battlefield is in the heart. The shadows weren't just in the apps, they were inside us, growing stronger whenever we ignored them. School felt different. My friends chatted about viral trends, TikTok challenges, and the latest influencer drama. I smiled and nodded, but inside, I was restless, aware. I could see the subtle ways the apps manipulated our moods, our desires. I noticed my classmates' eyes flicking toward notifications, the way they measured self-worth by likes, comments, and followers. And then I remembered the vision: countless teens, trapped in invisible webs, their hearts quietly poisoned by envy and comparison. It wasn't just me, it was everyone. One afternoon, I walked into the library and saw a group of girls huddled together, laughing at a post. But when I looked closer, I noticed their smiles were hollow. Their eyes were tense, almost anxious, scanning each other's screens. I remembered the shadows Jesus had shown me, feeding on their fear, doubt, and jealousy. I realized I couldn't just ignore it. I had to speak. But how do you warn people about something they don't even see? About a darkness that hides behind cute filters and funny videos? I started small. I spoke to my best friend, Ava, in private. I told her what had happened, what I had seen, how it felt. She blinked at me, unsure if I was joking, and then laughed nervously. "Emily, are you serious? Like, really?" I nodded. "Yes, I saw it. I felt it. Social media isn't just harmless fun. It's a trap, and it's getting worse." Ava's face went pale, and I knew some part of her understood, but most of my classmates didn't. They were addicted to distraction, chasing dopamine hits while the shadows grew stronger inside them. That night, I prayed. I prayed for clarity, for courage, for the chance to reach even one person before the shadows took more. And I felt him again. Jesus' presence, not like the overwhelming light of before, but soft, steady, guiding. "Emily," he said in my soul, "don't be afraid. Show them the truth, even if they don't want to see it. Every heart you touch is a victory over darkness." I thought about my own death, how fragile life had been, how easily the shadows could have pulled me under completely. And now, I had a mission. The next day, I started noticing the patterns. The way apps were designed to keep us scrolling. The subtle algorithms that prioritized anger, fear, and envy because those emotions kept us hooked. I realized the shadows weren't supernatural, they were built into the digital world, disguised as fun and connection. I wanted to warn everyone, but I also wanted to be careful. Nobody likes being told they're addicted, that they're being manipulated, that they're part of a bigger problem they can't see. I decided to start a blog, a small digital space where I could share what I had learned. I wrote about my near-death experience, not the graphic parts, but the insight, how social media manipulates emotions, how shadows feed on comparison and fear, how we can resist by focusing on real connections and inner peace. I shared practical tips. Take breaks. Notice your feelings while scrolling. Don't measure your worth by likes. I hoped at least one person would read it and pause before letting the shadows grow inside them. It wasn't easy. Some people laughed, some unfollowed, some ignored me completely. But then, slowly, messages began to appear. "I never thought about it like that. I've been feeling anxious all the time. Now I get why. Thank you for reminding me. I don't need validation from likes." Each one was like a spark in the darkness, a tiny victory against the shadows. And every time I saw a spark, I felt his presence again, steady, calm, loving, reminding me that even the smallest light can push back the shadows. And then came the hardest part. I realized the shadows weren't just digital, they were in people's hearts. Jealousy, resentment, bitterness, self-hatred. They all amplified the effect of social media. The apps were just tools. The real danger was what we allowed them to awaken inside us. Jesus had shown me this during my NDE. It wasn't punishment. It wasn't fear. He had shown me reality, a warning, and a path forward. And now, my life was no longer mine, just to live. It was mine to share, mine to shine a light in the shadows for my generation. The days that followed were hard. Everywhere I went, I saw the shadows lurking in the eyes of my peers. In the cafeteria, kids hunched over their phones, comparing themselves to filtered images, measuring self-worth by numbers. I wanted to scream, to shake them awake, but most didn't even notice. They were trapped in invisible chains, and the chains were designed to feel like freedom. It broke my heart, but I remembered his words. Even one heart saved is a victory. One afternoon, I met Tyler, a boy from my history class, scrolling endlessly through memes and trending challenges. His face was tight, anxious, almost desperate for validation. "Emily, why are you always staring at people like that?" he asked, frowning. I took a deep breath and spoke softly. "Tyler, do you know how much these apps are controlling you? How they make you think your value depends on a screen?" He laughed awkwardly, but there was tension in his laugh, a shadow of recognition. I pressed on, telling him about my experience, how I had died, and what I had seen. He stopped scrolling. For a moment, he just looked at me, silent. And then he whispered, almost afraid to believe it, I think I understand. That moment gave me hope. It showed me that even in a world filled with distraction, light could penetrate. Not everyone would listen, but some would. That was enough. That was victory. Later that week, my blog started getting traction. Teens from other schools began messaging me, sharing their own struggles, their own shadows. Some admitted they were addicted, others that they felt hollow, anxious, or depressed from the constant comparisons. Every message was proof that the battle wasn't just mine, it was ours. Gen Z was fighting an unseen war, one that preyed on insecurities, envy, and loneliness. And the social media platforms, designed to hook us, amplified the darkness. I remembered the vision Jesus had given me, the shadows whispering lies, convincing teens they were worthless, that they needed more validation, more followers, more approval. It was subtle, insidious, and nearly invisible, but the light was stronger. Every post I wrote, every conversation I had, every small act of kindness was a spark against the darkness. I realized that being awake, being aware, was the first step. The next step was courage, the courage to speak truth in a world addicted to distraction. One evening, I sat on my bed, staring at my phone. Notifications were piling up, messages from friends, likes, alerts, but I didn't scroll. Instead, I prayed. I prayed for clarity, for strength, and for the teens who had no idea what was happening inside them. I felt his presence again, not overwhelming this time, but steady, quiet, and empowering. Emily, he said in my soul, the shadows are strong, but you are stronger. Use your voice, guide them, protect the hearts that are still pure. I started hosting small virtual meetups. Teens who had read my blog joined, and we spoke honestly about the hidden dangers of social media. We shared experiences of anxiety, envy, and addiction. We explored ways to resist the conscious decision to step away, the discipline to measure usage, the courage to seek real-life connections over online validation. Slowly, the group grew. Word spread. Teens began questioning the patterns, noticing how often they compared themselves, how much of their joy depended on notifications. One day, a girl named Sophia messaged me, Emily, I don't know how to explain it, but after reading your blog, I cried for hours. I realized how much I've let social media control me, how much I've believed the lies about myself. My chest tightened. This was the reason I had returned. This was the mission. I wrote back, you're not alone. Keep fighting. Every day you choose light, you push back the shadows. You are stronger than you realize. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks, moments of doubt, days when the notifications felt like chains I couldn't break. Some friends mocked me, called me dramatic, told me I was overreacting. But I remembered the tunnel, the warmth, the voice that spoke directly to my heart. I remembered the lesson. Shadows feed on fear, distraction, and bitterness. But the light is in awareness, courage, and love. I refused to turn back, and then the most shocking revelation came. I saw how the shadows weren't just in individuals, they were in networks. The way content was designed, the algorithms pushing anger, comparison, and envy, they were like currents in an ocean, pulling everyone toward the same abyss. Teens everywhere were vulnerable, unaware, swimming in currents they couldn't see. It was terrifying, but I also understood the power of small lights. One spark in the right place could ignite awareness in dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands. Every time I taught someone to resist, every time I encouraged a teen to disconnect, to reflect, to protect their heart, I felt that same steady presence, the voice that didn't speak with words but with certainty. This is why you are here. Every heart you touch matters. The shadows are real, but the light is stronger. And in that moment, I realized something profound. Death had shown me life, not just mine, but the life of an entire generation. And my mission wasn't optional. It was urgent. The following weeks became a whirlwind. Emily's virtual meetups and blog posts continued to gain momentum. Teens from every corner of the country were joining, sharing stories, struggles, and moments of clarity. She realized that what had started as her personal mission had grown into a movement. Every message, every comment, Every private DM from a teen who felt seen reinforced the truth Jesus had shown her. The shadows feeding off the hearts of her generation could be counted one courageous choice at a time. One night, Emily was sitting in her room, reflecting on everything. The glow of her laptop screen seemed almost gentle compared to the harsh, buzzing notifications she had grown accustomed to ignoring. She remembered the exact sensation of floating through the tunnel of light, the feeling of Jesus' presence washing over her. That moment of peace, of perfect awareness, had never left her. She realized that while the shadows were loud, chaotic, and pervasive, the quiet light within each person had the power to resist. Suddenly, she received a video message from a boy named Javier, a quiet kid in her math class who had barely spoken to anyone in months. In the video, he was holding his phone away from his face, his eyes bright. "Emily," he said, voice shaking, "I deleted all the apps I was addicted to. I felt free. For the first time in months, I didn't feel anxious or worthless. I want to thank you for showing me it was possible." Emily's chest tightened. This was the proof she needed. Her voice mattered. Her message was spreading. Even the smallest action, encouraging one teen to disconnect, to reflect, to pray, was a victory against the darkness. But it wasn't easy. There were moments of fatigue, nights when the sheer weight of responsibility pressed down on her chest. She would see posts online of teens arguing, comparing, envying, tearing each other down. She'd feel the shadows clawing at her own heart, whispering, "Why bother? You can't fix this. You're just one person." But then she remembered the warmth, the tunnel of light, the words that resonated directly in her soul. "The shadows are strong, but you are stronger. Use your voice. Guide them. Protect the hearts that are still pure." Emily began incorporating mindfulness exercises into her online sessions, encouraging teens to take deliberate pauses from the constant stream of content. She shared her own struggles with social media, with anxiety, and with the ways the apps had distorted her sense of self before her near-death experience. Teens responded, opening up about their darkest moments, their fears, their secret shame. It was raw, unfiltered, and deeply human. And with every confession, every conversation, Emily felt the light growing stronger, small, but tangible. Then came the defining moment. One afternoon, she received a flood of messages from teens all over the world who had decided to challenge their habits, turning off notifications, deleting apps, creating time for real-life interactions. Parents messaged her too, expressing gratitude, saying that their children were talking more, connecting more, and feeling less anxious. Emily realized something profound. The shadow wasn't omnipotent. It thrived on passivity. But when people actively chose the light, its influence weakened. In her private moments, Emily would close her eyes and visualize the tunnel of light again, imagining the millions of hearts slowly untangling themselves from the shadows. She imagined a wave of awareness spreading through Gen Z, one conscious choice at a time. Jesus' message had been clear. The darkness was real. Social media was a tool that could enslave hearts, but awareness, courage, and love could reclaim those hearts. And Emily knew the truth now. This was only the beginning. Every teen she helped, every heart she touched, every single choice to reject comparison, envy, and bitterness was part of a larger story, a story that could change a generation. She whispered a silent prayer, thanking him for showing her the shadows and the light, for giving her the courage to return, for letting her be a vessel of hope. The journey wasn't over, and it never would be. But Emily finally understood. The shadows might always exist, but they were powerless against a generation willing to wake up, to see the truth, and to fight with love. Every notification resisted, every act of mercy chosen, every moment of awareness claimed was a victory. And that, she realized, was why she had been allowed to return. Emily opened her laptop one last time that night and typed a message to her followers. "You are not alone. The shadows are real, but so is the light. Protect your heart, choose love, and remember, every small choice matters. Your life, your mind, your soul, it's worth more than likes, shares, or followers. Wake up, Gen Z. The light is here, and it's waiting for you." And somewhere deep inside, she felt it. A warmth that spread from her chest. A quiet, steady hum of peace. The reminder that even in a world dominated by screens, comparison, and chaos, the light would always find a way through.